Anything for Eric?
Yes. You know I'm old.
Do you need names repeated or anything, or we're all good with that?
Ready, John?
Yeah.
John. Ready.
Okay, I want to thank you for coming to the City of Springfield today. I'm joined with Commission President Melanie Weld of Clark County Commission. We're here to address recent rumors that have been circulated related to our Haitian community. We wish to clarify that we have not been able to verify any credible reports or specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community. The news story regarding a cat being killed and consumed did not originate in Springfield. It actually involved a Canton woman who was arrested for animal cruelty last month. Rumors like this are taken away from the real issues, such as the issues involving our housing, our school resources, and our overwhelmed healthcare system. Additionally, there have been no verified incidences of immigrants engaging in illegal activities as squatting or littering in front of residents' homes. As it relates to driving, I made a statement at the last City Commission meeting that I am just as concerned as all of our citizens of the reckless operation, speeding, and distracted driving of motor vehicles in our community. In fact, I have continued to ask for support at the state level to support us in addressing these major driving-related concerns. Just recently, Governor DeWine, at a press conference held today at 3:30, announced that he ordered the Director of Public Safety, Andy Wilson, and the State Highway Patrol to immediately begin a data-driven task enforcement surge in conjunction with the Springfield Police Department and the Clark County Sheriff's Department to combat these driving issues. These are things that are very important to us. We want to make sure that we get these concerns and this information to the press. I'm going to go ahead and ask the Clark County Commission President, Melanie Weld, to have a few comments.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming. I'm Clark County Commission President Melanie Wilt. I'm a lifelong resident of Clark County, and I've chosen to raise my family here, build my business here, and give back to the community as a public servant. Our growing economy and affordable housing brought an unexpected surge of Haitian refugees to work over the last few years. The challenges with this are real, and I'm confident that our Springfield grit will produce the solutions we need. After the election is over and everyone's done using Springfield, Ohio as a talking point for immigration reform, we are the ones who are going to be left to live out the challenges and find the solutions. I urge my fellow Clark Countyans to stop feeding the fear and instead use your energy to become part of the solution. The rumors and misinformation circulating now nationwide are detracting from the real issues we face: school, education, housing, driving, and healthcare. Being in a leadership role right now is like a game of whack-a-mole, where we jump to extinguish one myth at a time. Our local leaders need to remain focused on three key priorities right now. Number one is launching new driver's training programs in response to some serious pain that this community has suffered. The city's taking the lead on this, working with the state of Ohio. We are so grateful to Governor DeWine for announcing additional support for those programs today. Secondly, we have to stabilize our infrastructure and funding. We are doing this at the county and the city. We are working with our congressional representatives, our state legislators, our administrative professionals, and we are addressing all of those things through existing programs that we have already established for things like food security, housing, and job and family services. The third key priority for us has to be to help newcomers assimilate to the community. This is being done by those in our nonprofit, education, and church communities, and within the Haitian community itself. There are many compassionate people in this community who are humbly and quietly working to respond to the situation. As a leader in this community, I want to remind my fellow citizens that it is not okay to harass our neighbors. It's not okay to harass anyone for how they drive, for how they talk, for how they look, for how they lead. We tell our kids, I'm the mother of 3 school-age kids, we tell our kids not to bully one another, and I hear adults in our community saying the most hateful things. The very things we caution our children against. That's not the community we are. We are Clark County, Ohio. We are Springfield, Ohio, and that is not the community we want to be. We welcome continued support and help from the state and federal governments and from each and every resident and business and worker in this community. At this time, I will stop and we'll take questions, direct questions about things you've heard, things that we can help with.
How do you feel about the top of the presidential ticket for the Republican Party continuing to propagate these things that have been debunked? This is not the first time these have been debunked. It was debunked all day yesterday, and yet we're still hearing the vice presidential candidate and other Republicans use this as a talking point.
I'm certain that there will be a lot of discussion during tonight's debate about immigration reform, so I'll let them answer those questions.
Is it irresponsible? Is it dangerous?
I'm not going to let you put words in my mouth.
Have you all, as a city, Rob, reached out to Senator Vance, among others, to correct some of the misinformation he has been publicly tweeting?
We have been sharing facts and to frequently asked questions that we've been hearing, yes.
Directly
With his
With
office?
his campaign, yeah, directly to the campaign and to their office.
They have access to that information.
So I've lived here 56 years in Springfield, and both you guys know me. I have seen some of the Haitians who can't really drive. I was just at the barber's shop a couple weeks ago when one ran into the building there on Limestone. I do think we need to look more into their driving. And I do get a lot of texts and emails about just the Haitian hate that has really got to stop here in Springfield. I mean, I think that's just, like you said, it's not us. It's not Springfield, so.
So to address the driving thing, you know, those are real issues. I don't think there's anyone in this community who's not still heartbroken over the death of Aiden Clark and the bus crash that happened over a year ago. So that is why we continue to work on driver's education. There may be some reform that needs to happen at the state level. Obviously, the legislature is not in session right now, and so this is something that we're going to be asking them to address. But the city of Springfield is doing some things that have never been done before related to driver education to make some investment by the community in making a difference.
For tonight's city commission meeting, what are you all doing to make sure people are heard, it goes smoothly, and that nothing gets out of hand?
Well, in the same way we've ran the last 2 meetings, we'll be allowing public comment right in the beginning. They will have a 3-minute time limit. We will not be going back and forth, and we'll answer questions that we can at the end. And if there's any other questions we need to follow up with following the meeting, we will do that. But every person that asks a question that can get an answer, we will give them an answer.
There's
limit
also
on
been
people.
a lot of speculation and over-exaggeration about how many Haitian immigrants are here in the Springfield area. Could you provide an actual, factual
So we have
statistic?
realistically been saying 12 to 15,000 immigrants is what we have counted through the health department and other agencies that we work with.
Any
John?
sort of limits,
I
Rob,
do have some
for
numbers.
fire code, the number of people that can be in
Yeah.
that
So we do have a
space?
fire code downstairs, so we'll limit it to the amount of folks that can safely be in the room. You want to go ahead and answer?
Yeah, I do have some numbers from our Job and Family Services office to give you some indication of the numbers. Of course, the census is what provides direction for federal funding, and because the census numbers are somewhat outdated, we don't have a good system for counting how many immigrants are in our community right now. But these are the things that we do have. At Job and Family Services, sorry, I want to make sure I'm looking at the right line here. Okay, so in the county, we have roughly 51,000 Medicaid recipients in Clark County. 6,590 of those are non-citizens. Of those who are non-citizens, 5,059, or 77%, have Haiti identified as their country of origin, and 5,587, or roughly 85%, have Haitian Creole identified as their language. We also looked at the whole state fiscal year 2024 of the roughly 56,000 unique recipients of aid in Clark County in the year. 10,297 were non-citizens. And of those non-citizens, about 77% identified as Haiti as their country of origin. So that gives you some real numbers to work with, although obviously not every person who's here is seeking aid through those channels or any aid at all.
And these people aren't all illegal aliens, as we've seen a commercial depicting Hermanio Joseph as an illegal alien who did something really wrong here in Springfield.
There's a lot of bad information out there about refugees and immigration. And I don't know the status of every single person who is here in this community, but by and large, they are seeking asylum and refuge from a really bad situation in Haiti.
You guys addressed the pets. What about these claims that there have been abductions or killings of wildlife in local parks or otherwise?
That is absolutely false. My fellow County Commissioner Sasha Rittenhouse is back there. She rode with the local game warden last week and asked that question, and we have it on good authority that that is an urban legend.
The amount of immigrants that have come to Springfield obviously didn't happen overnight. The three goals that you guys or initiatives that you guys are launching, like the new drivers program, infrastructure funding, was that on your radar to do that before the tragic bus crash?
Those aren't new programs. Those are things we've been working on and talking about, but I think it's the first time that we've spoken publicly about those being our key priorities. We've been working together on these issues for 2 years, 3 years, I don't know. The Haitian Coalition Task Force started meeting about 2 years ago, and they meet on a pretty regular basis with a lot of organizations that are interested in addressing all of the issues around this.
You mentioned only some of what the governor outlined. What other help do you need from either Columbus, the State House, or from Washington on this issue to address it?
Funding is the biggest, is the number one thing, because federal funding is based on population data, and we don't have good population data on immigration. We aren't accessing the federal funding that would be necessary. Same with state funding. But I don't believe that anybody's going to save us but ourselves. And the leadership to do that has to come from this community. And the wherewithal to do that has to be the grit from this community, that we are going to take the bull by the horns and find ways to solve the problems that face us.
Why do so many people think that the city or county is getting some kind of kickback from these Haitian immigrants, or just immigrants, period, coming into Springfield, Clark County? That has to be debunked too, I would think.
Yeah, I think that there is a general sentiment in our political environment in the world today that there are conspiracies, there are there's a lack of transparency, and that's just, people follow those rumors and take them at surface level. And unfortunately, I think there's also a serious lack of civic literacy that has come to play here, that there are things that I hear that I don't think a third grader would repeat. But unfortunately, we're hearing people say things that are, or just make things up to get a reaction. And it's irresponsible.
Nothing against third graders, but can I ask the mayor?
Just a second, two things. One on the funding. if we're going to have the federal or state government write us a check right now, we would look to fund translation services so we can communicate and close that bridge, that communication bridge gap that we need to close for our safety forces, for our schools, for our hospital, for our healthcare. We have a lot of emergency services. They can't quickly communicate with Haitian Creole and English, so it's very difficult. So if we can close that gap, it would create a safer, law enforcement and safety department for us as well. And then I think the amount, the question about what's the speculation, why, the city has to be getting something. I think just because there's been such a quick influx of individuals in our community over such a short amount of time, it looks like it was organized, but it was like not organized by the government. We have not received one dime for immigrants coming into our community, not one. Sir.
As the mayor of Springfield, and the namesake speaks for itself behind you, forward together, this is your opportunity, Mayor, with all the media here, to put at ease your voters, your taxpayers of the city of Springfield, that this too will pass.
Mm-hmm.
Would you reiterate on that for your citizens as well?
Well, I think the important thing is we need to come together as a community. And what we're doing is we're letting these rumors, this national rhetoric come into our community and divide us. And like we said earlier, there's things we need to focus on, but because we're focusing on X posts and Facebook posts, trying to squelch those rumors, it takes a lot of time to make sure we're giving the truth back. Unfortunately, it seems like we tell the truth, we research it, we tell the truth, and then folks call it a lie, and they post something and call it truth. And it's very difficult for us to see that when we're giving researched information that's truth back to folks.
Is there a way to hold these people accountable?
I think, it's a free speech world and people get to post what they want, but we would just like people to take into consideration what they're doing to their community when they post this.
Dave Yost told me yesterday he's still, in so many words, working on his legal case, but that he is considering suing the federal government over this issue. Just what is your reaction from that potential move from the Ohio Attorney General's office here?
I think that's just on his desk, and he's going to make an effort to try to bring light into the surge in our community. That's fine. We just wanted to focus on that.
At Armanio Joseph's sentencing, Aiden Clark's father said he didn't want his son's death associated with, the nation's immigration crisis or anything like that. Would either one of you just want to touch on that or share a similar sentiment that you don't want that tragedy associated with immigration in our country?
I think just out of respect to the family, I'm just not going to comment on that. Thank you.
Commissioner Wilt, you've talked a couple of times about needing to stabilize funding. Funding for this kind of services comes through so many channels, it's kind of hard to wrap your arms around. When you say stabilize funding, what are the most important things that need to happen?
Well, taking a bigger picture look at it, we already needed to stabilize our tax base for a number of reasons, including housing, education, food security, benefits. Those things were already a challenge in our community. This just exacerbated that. There are different ways to stabilize the tax base. The county receives tax income through sales tax revenues. So when people spend money in our community, they come to our community, they invest in our community. That's how we can stabilize our budget and therefore invest back in our infrastructure. The city gets income tax revenue, which has been a challenge because of work from home and some different things like that. So we need people to be able to spend those dollars in our community, both as workers, as property owners, and as consumers, to stabilize our tax base. In order to do that, that means you either have visitors who come on the weekends and then they go home, or you have residents that decide to locate here. And it would be difficult to go out and find 20,000 residents over the next 5 years that wanted to locate here. We have that situation right now, and we don't seem to be capitalizing on it. So I think there is an opportunity to provide some stabilization just through the course of assimilating the Haitian population to the community, but also finding additional avenues for funding through the state and federal government.
Rob, any extra security tonight at City Commission? I don't know what you guys have been doing last several weeks when you have them, but talked about talking and fire code, but any extra officers or whatnot there tonight?
We exercised that opportunity the last time to have some extra officers on hand. Folks get excited, things like that. We want to make sure we have a calm and respectful environment, so that's why we'll have additional officers there.
Are you worried about this guy coming back to city commission who was there last time from this hate group?
I would be concerned about anybody that would want to come and bring an extreme unrest and a lack of peace. So, I would be concerned about anybody doing that.
Let me ask you this. How concerned are you that tonight's debate will talk about Springfield, Ohio, and this whole issue?
I mean, honestly, I would be shocked if they don't. But, it is what it is.
As far as you guys are aware, have you heard about the Haitian population putting like a giant toll on the local healthcare system, whether it be an increase in TB cases or HIV cases locally here?
We just know that the care to immigrants has put a stress on our healthcare system overall.
In addition to healthcare, is it also impacting schools, is how I understand?
There's several additional students over the last 3 years. I think there's about 2,000, about 1,500 to 2,000 new students over the last 3 years.
Can either of you speak to, the impact that this kind of rhetoric is having on the Haitian population as a whole? Being painted in this broad brush, as exhibiting these kind of behaviors that, like you've said, have been proven false. But on a national stage, they're being, shown in this way. Can you speak to whether it's your work, partnerships with nonprofits and things like that, what you're hearing as far as the impacts to the Haitian community?
Well, let me just say one thing. Let's just say, as a human being, could you imagine being talked about this and the entire group that the country you're from, that you are being painted with this broad brush stroke that, of all this rhetoric and this hatred that's coming at you. So I definitely have compassion for that as a human being to another human being. It's very difficult.
Have the city and the county taken specific steps to try to, involve Haitian residents in meetings more? I think there's some sense that people fear what they don't know. They see a monolithic, there are 15,000 people here. They don't see that there are that human being and that human being. Is there anything the county or the city are doing to try to get over that barrier?
The one thing that has happened over the last month is that the NAACP has stepped up and created a forum that's happened twice now. And this is a place where folks can come to the table and just discuss their concerns and express their concerns. And so that's one of the things that's happened. I think the coalition group is another example where folks come together from the entire community and Haitian community to discuss concerns.
And I can speak to Job and Family Services in particular. We're processing a lot of applications from those who are Haitian Creole speakers, and that has increased the workload there among our folks who are working in social services. We have actually hired folks from within the Haitian community to help to reduce some of that translation burden. But translation is one thing, but all of the complication of the system and the forms and all of, knowing the language of the services is also something that requires training. So having people trained to do that and serve is a reflection of the community as a whole.
I think I want to say something that this is a very rare occurrence, and I want to say what you're seeing up here. You're seeing the president of the Clark County Commission and the mayor of the city of Springfield together, working together, addressing you together. And this is an example of what we want our community to see, that we are coming together to try to solve these problems. And I want to appreciate Commissioner Wilt as well as Commissioner Rittenhouse for being here. And the staff, the city staff, this has placed just a large strain on our city staff as well. And I just want to acknowledge their efforts as well. So I just want to appreciate, this is the example of what we need to see in our community, is different parts of the community coming together and solving this problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. You better hurry up and get your stories filed.